that's the best way to start. Oh, it's Alon. Okay, everybody quit. Alon the Dungeon Meowsters. You know what? It's 8:30. Let's get started. Welcome to Sketching Shakespeare, a live show all about sketching and Shakespeare. Couple quick announcements before we get going. The DragonCon charity partner for 2023 is Cure. Cure is dedicated to conquering childhood cancer through funding targeted research while supporting patients and their families. Use the QR codes to donate. DragonCon matches up to $125,000. Make them do that. Yep. Also, our track sponsor for 2023 is The Cats. For over 22 years, they've been empowering lives through disaster relief, food distribution, orphan care, and more. Their top-notch ratings from Charity Navigator and Wise Giving Alliance means your contributions are going to make a difference. Zakat.org. Also, there are some QR code links down here. The middle one will take you to the digital media track link tree where you can get into our Discord and hang out with us all year long, not just this weekend. So let's get into it. I'm Steph. I am the host of the Protest Too Much podcast, which is a Shakespeare showdown show. So we do silly little matchups. A guest comes on and we say, which Shakespeare character would win Survivor? The guest gets to bring both sides of the argument. They say, I think Iago would win Survivor. You think Falstaff would win Survivor. And then I have to make up an argument for that through the show. It is at P2M Pod on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. And next to me is The Sketching.
Yay, I'm Swan. I'm The Sketching. I am a swan named Emily all over the internet. I'm an illustrator, a graphic designer. I run my own art Twitch channel, as well as I run the Doodle Crew, where I invite a bunch of my artist friends to come on, and different episodes we pick a prompt, and then we make art based on that. So, yeah, you can find me there.
Yeah, so what Swan does is actual magic. And what I do is take other people's works, namely Shakespeare. And what we're going to do is we're going to read a speech, and Swan is going to create it into a comic page based on where she interprets it, how she interprets it, and the way that her brain goes. So we're going to do that. And then also to give Swan a little bit of time to actually draw through the panel, we're going to do some Protest Too Much style matchups. And what that means is on this little card that you have on your chair, you'll see some suggestions. So you might line up to the microphone and say, hey, Steph, tell me why Romeo would make the best TikToker. I'm going to have 60 seconds on the clock, and I'm going to convince you why that is the case. You can come up with whatever situation / character combo you want to try and stump me. Give it your best shot. So we'll do a few of those as we go through. But to get started, I think we need a speech. And to do a speech, we need a speaker. I'm going to welcome VO by Kurt up to the stage. Everyone give him a round of applause. Grab that mic and come on up towards us. So this speech is from King Lear. And if y'all are familiar with King Lear, you might know that there is a big storm scene. Lear is raging across the countryside, and it starts raining, and he gets a little grumpy. So in order to give Kurt the right, environment, I think we need to give him a storm. Y'all have some things at your disposal. You have some fans to give him winds. You have some streamers to give him rain, and you've got your feet and hands and whatever to give him some thunder. So let's hear your biggest rain noise. Okay, keep going. All right, we're going to keep that up through this whole speech. Are you ready, Kurt?
I am ready. Am I ready? There we go. Yeah, I am ready. Blow, winds, and crack your cheeks. Rage, blow. You cataracts and hurricanes spout till you drench our steeples, drown to the cocks. You sulphurous end thought executing fires, vaunt couriers to oak cleaving thunderbolts, singe my white head, and thou all shaking thunder, smite flat the thick rotundity of the world, crack nature's molds, and German spill at once, that make ungrateful man.
Good uncle, come in and ask thy daughter's blessing. Here's a knight pities neither wise man nor fools.
Rumble thy bellyful, spit fire, spout rain, nor rain, wind, thunder, fire are my daughters. I tax not you elements with unkindness. I never gave you kingdom, called you children. You owe me no subscription. Then let fall, you horrible pleasure. Here I stand, a poor, infirm, weak, and despised old man. But yet I call you servile ministers that have with two pernicious daughters joint your high engendered battles against a head so old and white as this. Oh, oh, 'tis foul.
That is VO by Kurt on the internet. This man reads bedtime stories and they're beautiful. Give him another round of applause.
I got some wind on me.
What a storm! Round of applause for our storm. So as we get into this, I'm going to ask Swan some questions about art. We're going to talk a little bit about Shakespeare, King Lear. We're asleep. Oh, wake up. Great. Thank you. We might need to do that a couple times. So if you have questions about art, comics, Shakespeare, any of that, feel free to come up to the mic. But to kick us off, Swan, when you hear something like that, it's a lot of words, right?
Yes.
Where does your brain go? What does your brain do? How does your brain work?
I'm not answering the last one because I don't know. So some of it, and what I love about this and the way that you read things to me is you give me feeling for it, and that's a great place to start in how the scene feels. So there is stress over the storm, but there is also passion in that. So I need a setting. I need something that tells me, how can we incorporate both of those things? How can we have that level of intensity, but also that level of stress and fear?
Yeah. Can we turn room lights off and have these? I think we should be able to still see. It just might help. See Swan's drawing a little better. Yeah. Okay. And she'll go through it with marker
I will
and
also,
darkening.
yes, I will switch to darker. I am just doing, so for my process, I start with a very light sketch layer. I often start with a thumbnail, very, very quick idea of what I want to do on the page, and then move into my layouts, and then I will start to figure out, once everything is set, then how I want to add the details.
So you start with, basically, is your first thumbnail just how many panels you want on the page?
Yeah.
How do you decide that?
So we talk about a bit with timing. So with reading, you have the opportunity to speed up or slow down and really control the tempo of it. But with art, I'm at the mercy of however someone is going to read through the page. So I need to make sure that if I want them to feel like they're moving slower, give them a lot of panels, a lot of things to read, a lot of things to look at. Or if I want just a couple of big movements in those hits, I'll have bigger panels with more open spaces. And that's the best way I can kind of control how a person's eye moves through my page.
Cool. So what sorts of feelings did y'all get from that speech besides stress? What are some of the things that jump to mind when you hear that? Even if you're not understanding all of the words that go through in that environment, what are some vibes you get? Frustration, sure. Arrogance, yeah, absolutely. Angy, wet. Yeah.
Angy and wet.
Angy and wet. That's a lot of days. Just anytime it rains. Yeah, so we're getting a lot of negative vibes. Bad vibes here, Lear. How do you, I guess, translate that onto the page with your setup and with getting started?
So some of it is body language, since I am going to incorporate characters into this. The way that they're standing, the way that they're moving. I want to be aggressive. I want to be frustrated. I want to have all of those passionate feelings, as well as specific to their facial expressions and all of that, but also just how I'm going to color in the page. I'm going to do a lot of harsh blacks. I'm going to do a lot of heavy shadows. Also, that way I can then focus on the rain and really have that be its own character throughout.
Cool. I love that. How many of y'all in the room are artists? Raise your hand.
Yay!
Cool. Okay. How many of you are Shakespeare nerds?
Yeah.
Of all kinds? All right, cool. Intimidating. Yeah. So as you're sitting there, if you have a question about art or Shakespeare, if you have a Protest Too Much matchup, you can go ahead and line up at this mic. We'll go through them. We'll give Swan a little bit of time to answer those questions and also draw. We're making Swan work today. Round of applause for Swan. Yeah. So for me, I think this is really interesting because a lot of times when we do sketching Shakespeare, I come at things obviously from a theater perspective. And if I'm staging Lear, this scene is really difficult to put on stage because how do you get the feeling of this torrential downpour storm without either soaking your actors every night or rigging up some sort of like movie level rain blanket to do that? So there have been obviously a million creative ways that folks have done it. I have never directed Lear because of this scene. This is the scene that I'm like, when I figure out how to do it, and so I'm relying on Swan today to figure out how to do it on paper so I can figure out how to do it on stage. Come on up to the mic.
Hi there.
Hello.
So I like the best TikToker one, but I wanted to throw at you Amelia from Othello.
Oh, okay. So I am going to, where's my timer? Where's my timer clock? Should have gotten this set earlier. All right. So Amelia from Othello would be the best TikToker because she has got a lot of things to say. And I think that if she has a platform to actually reach an audience, she's gold. She has so many strong thoughts and opinions. And she would say something like, who would not cheat on their husband for the whole wide world, right? Like for $1, for a ring, for a trinket, no way. But if you're going to, I'm a woman in a world that doesn't value me. If you are going to give me the whole wide world, absolutely. Like, I mean, first of all, she knows Iago is kind of a ding dong. Not kind of. He's a real big ding dong. But like, she would reach so many people with an inflammatory statement like that up at the top. That's going to rein people in. That's going to get views. And then she backs it up with like an actual argument beyond that. She's going to be a TikTok star. I didn't even need a minute for that. She's so good. I love her so much. Hello.
So I learned today that our excellent hostess is a world-class figure skater. So I wanted to incorporate that into my question.
All right.
So which two Shakespeare characters would be the absolute worst pair of figure skating team and why?
Which two Shakespeare characters would make the worst figure skating team and why? I am going to go, I'm starting my minute with a lot of thought. I'm going to go, I'm going to go Demetrius from Midsummer and Juliet from Romeo and Juliet because both of those characters will get their way. Like they will fight and claw and run away if they're not getting their way in something. And to have a team, like to have a pairs team or a dance team, you need two people who communicate. One of my coaches at the World Figure Skating Championships was a pair skater with his sister, and he skated out onto the ice, and he decided at that moment he did not want to compete. He skated off the ice and left his sister standing there. He's a ding dong. So you would have that energy with Juliet and Demetrius. They would be at each other's throats all the time. They would be fighting constantly. Demetrius would just skate off the ice. And like, that's not a good recipe for success. And I think they're a little too maybe strong-willed to cooperate. That was a tough question. I've literally never thought about it. That's fun. Thank you. Hello.
Okay, so this isn't quite on the card, but if
Neither was that.
Puck was a YouTuber, what would he be canceled for?
If Puck, did you say Puck? Puck. If Puck was a YouTuber, what would he be canceled for? What wouldn't he? He would not do an apology. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. What would he be canceled for? I think. Oh my God, this is a hard one. Y'all are starting off strong. Usually we're like ease into it. If Puck were a YouTuber, he would be doing pranks. He would do a prank that went too far. I think that he would only be able to play off, I thought it was you said Athenian, so I just said Athenian. Like, well, you weren't specific. I think he could only get away with that like a small number of times. There would be a point where he did a prank and it like crossed some lines and he wouldn't be able to recover from that, because I think that as much as he has an endearing and entertaining spirit, there is a well, there's a line in a time that doesn't cut it anymore, and that won't carry you through. So like, yeah, he would go too far, and he wouldn't know what that line was because he would think it's hilarious. Period. Hello.
Hello, best con buddy, Petruchio from
Ugh.
Taming of the Shrew.
Gross. Ew. All right. Why would Petruchio be the best con buddy? Okay. No, actually, you know what? Taming of the Shrew has a lot of problems, but at the beginning of this play, who is it? Is it who's his friend? Lucio, maybe? Lucio something. Is like, hey, I want to marry this girl, but her sister has to get married first, so I need you to like woo her shrew of a sister. And Petruchio says, okay. Like, yes, he would maybe make you pay for his badge. If you were like, hey, I want to go to this convention, and I really need someone to come with me so that I can so that I have a roommate for the hotel, I'll pay for it. Come with me. He would do that, and he would be so supportive all the way through. Also, he would say all the mean things that you're too afraid to say. Like, you know how you need someone to gossip with? Like, a little sitting in the back of the panels, some of you back there, like, sitting like, I don't know what she's talking about. He would be that person to give you he would give you the release for that. He would be that person for you. I don't know. He's terrible. Next.
Can you tell me why Sylvius from As You Like It would be the best drag queen?
Ooh, okay. So first of all, As You Like, so the question is Sylvius from As You Like It, best drag queen. As You Like It is full of gender flexibility, like cross-gendering yourself to kind of make a point. There is a moment where he's not as sad as people think he is. Like, he's a real romantic, and I think he would come up with like this beautiful arc. And I don't think he would be a comedy queen. I think that he would like maybe tell beautiful poems, or like he would read love letters, or he would like do something. He would create a niche for himself in drag that's like a really beautiful representation of what his heart is feeling, and it would belong in As You Like It. All of the characters would go because they would love a drag show, and they would also like all resonate with all of these deep feelings of love that he has. Yeah. Nice. I like that. It was a really good one. Yeah. All right, we're gonna do these couple, and then we'll check in with Swan. So what do you got for me?
Can you do an advertisement for a Lady Macbeth Barbie?
Lady Macbeth what? Barbie.
Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Barbie. Oh, coming this year from Mattel, it's Lady Macbeth Barbie. If you're nervous about advancing your life, don't you fear. Lady Macbeth Barbie is here to push you forward and raise you up. If you're scared to do something, don't worry. She'll tell you what to do and not back down from it. If you're like, I don't want to do that anymore, she will say, listen, I know you're better than that. I know. The person that bought me as a Barbie wouldn't back down from this challenge. You can do it. Also comes with bleeding hands. It's like the if y'all saw the Barbie movie and also know the like grow up Midge or whatever, the weird like Skipper, grown up Skipper.
Yeah.
They like you like push a button on her back and like blood comes out of her hands and then goes back in. It's like a mechanic of the Barbie. Hello.
Hi. If Sir Toby, Sir Andrew, and Maria were going to start a podcast, what would it be about?
Sir Toby, Sir Andrew, and Mariah would start a podcast called Tavern Talk, and they would hang out and record Malvolio as he is raging at them, and then they would comment on it. So you know how like a lot of like teachers will take a press release or something and mark it up like they've edited it for clarity or grammar or spelling or whatever. They would do that with his rants. So he would come down and he would be like, go to bed, you're all crazy animals, everyone's drunk, go to bed. And then he would leave and they would play it back and they would be like, if he had used like this phrase or this phrase, like it would have been more effective to get his point across to to effectively get us to bed. Or like if he wanted us to go to bed, he should have provided snacks and lullabies. And they would like rant on like his rants and commentary. That would be a great podcast, honestly. All right.
All right. So this should be an easy one for you and straight
I need
from
it.
your
Okay.
postcard. So tell me why Lady Macbeth would be a great blind date.
Oh, Lady Macbeth would be a great blind date. Listen, here is the problem with Macbeth. How long do we have? The problem with Macbeth as a play is that he stops listening to Lady Macbeth. Everything in this play is this. Then this man decides that he can do things without the consultation of his wife. And then the play does this. There is a marked point where he says, be innocent of the knowledge, dearest Chuck, until thou applaud the deed or whatever. And that's when he shuts her out. And that's when things go poorly. So if you show up, she's stunning, she's cool, she's strong, she's bold, she encourages you to do whatever you want to do, be whoever you want to be. You're gonna leave that blind date like, whoa, I'm amazing. She's amazing. Like there would be so much tension, so much pre-10 p.m. tension, and there would be just like attraction and support and excitement. All right. We're going to take a pause real quick to check in with Swan, and then we'll get back to exhausting me.
Yeah. What do you think so far?
I think that's rad as heck. Tell me about, where are we at the top? It looks like a stage, like a concert.
It is. I may or may not have just recently rewatched Woodstock 99, and there's nothing more like angry and yell at the sky than when it opens up and pours on a concert. And I feel like standing on stage, yelling at the sky while you have your poor tech ops trying to get you to not be on stage with all of their electronics is a perfect moment for the fool to come in and Lear to just not take that.
Okay, so this is really cool. And like, so it kind of, you're turning this rant, like he's so angry just at the world. He's frustrated. He's lost his daughters, his kingdom. He's lost his power and his like grasp on reality at some points. He's at such a peak, but I think taking that as like a heightened time at a concert, like emotions are high, energy is high, and it doesn't have to be anger. It can be this just like
everything. I was rereading this again before we started, and I was like, I could see these being like the impassioned words that, you know, when the beauty of seeing concerts live is, you know, the musicians take their own, like, I'm just going to ad lib during this part while the background plays. And it feels so energized in that moment.
And it's such a like, even as you're making me reread this speech in such a different way than I ever have before, because if it can be not like a celebration, but if it can be fed by the people around him, I've always seen him so alone in this, but if he's surrounded by thousands of people, like also, and I wonder if that's like partly because like doing it in this room with people as the storm, like it gives such a different, that's so cool.
But there's an anonymity to the crowd where like there's no one person there for him. It could just be a sea of unknown faces, unknown people.
That was a good face. I'm just gonna make you clap for Swan for this entire hour. That's so cool. I've never seen or thought of Lear like that, and like this heightened state and this heightened like place is such a cool place to put him. All right.
Yeah.
Amazing. Reminder, if you do have any art questions, you can also come up to the mic. You don't have to just put me on the spot. You can also do that to my good friend Emily Swan. All right. What do you got for me?
It's actually not a like suggestion for something to go. It's more of a question.
Perfect.
So my only experience with Shakespeare has been David Tennant as Hamlet, and
what an experience
with the red T-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
A phenomenal experience. Watched it with my parents. That was interesting. What is a good way to start getting into Shakespeare? Because you have just on tap knowledge, and I want to be like that.
Yeah, great. It is a great question. And I heard you say at the beginning you were a little intimidated about it. And Shakespeare can be intimidating and it can be alienating, because I think that in the past we've seen this like image of Shakespeare is a very like old white man world, and it's not that anymore, but you do have to work a little harder to find it, and there are a lot of people who are changing the face of Shakespeare in a really positive way. And so what I would recommend is, and I'm going to toss this question actually to Swan in a second, because when we started this, Swan's whole thing was like, I don't know anything about Shakespeare. And then she comes like every time we do something, she comes up with this brilliant interpretation, just having read one speech out of context. And like to the point where she's on a Shakespeare panel with me tomorrow at DragonCon, because she has become this like knowledgeable font of information on Shakespeare. And so I am going to toss to you in a second, just giving you the heads up
Absolutely.
on it. For me, Shakespeare, if you approach Shakespeare in the lens that it was the Love is Blind, it was the Bachelorette of his time, it was the reality TV. It's not, the Victorians did a lot to put Shakespeare on a pedestal, and it's not the right vibe of Shakespeare. There's been like this Shakespeare, I've been on a Shakespeare voice and I'm going to be or not to be, that is what, but it's like, it's so raw and it's so chaotic and it's so funny. And so if you can approach Shakespeare with that mentality before you even dive into any of the texts, just know that it's messy and it's fun and it's pulp and it's pop. Like the words might be unfamiliar at points to you, but it shouldn't matter, because if the production is doing what it's meant to do, you should get the feeling and get the vibes regardless. So some introductory things that I would recommend. I think that, and I'll toss this to other folks in the audience too, if they have some suggestions after we talk to Swan. There are a lot of graphic novel versions of Shakespeare that are really good. I know that No Fear Shakespeare produced some, published some graphic novels. Those are a great way to start reading. For watching, I would recommend the Shakespeare's Globe has a like collection of their videos, and in the past couple years, they've done a really good job of like opening things up. While still retaining like original costuming and stuff. But PBS, great performances, I think is the link. Their Much Ado About Nothing is the best Shakespeare on film I've ever seen. It's a live performance from the Public Theater in New York from a couple years ago. Danielle Brooks is Beatrice, and it is the most it's the film that embraces, I think, the spirit of Shakespeare the most, because it is just fun. Like you watch it and you feel good and you get the story and everyone's in it. Everyone's an excellent actor, but it like has the right vibes. That's the first thing that comes to the top of my mind for like something to watch, something to read. I definitely think the graphic novels are good. Swan, I'm going to toss to you for how you would approach.
So I think for me, absolutely. I mean, always graphic novels. That's great. There's a beautiful Midsummer Night's Dream in Neil Gaiman's Sandman. That's a wonderful read. I got you. For me, and this is shameless. I have no shame in doing this. It was having someone I trusted explain it to me. So the fact that I came to Steph and I said, hey, I read this in high school. It didn't make a lot of sense to me. Like it was a very unpleasant experience in like having my classmates read it to me. And she's like, you got to watch it be performed. I'm like, okay, I don't know how to consume it. So in these little bite-sized pieces that we did, I got to have someone read it to me who understood what the scene was about and then explain that to me. And that was exciting. And, you know, shamelessly, I started listening to your podcast knowing nothing. And I was like, they're going to bring two characters and it's not going to mean anything to me. But because of the energy and the enthusiasm and the love that all of your guests have with you talking about these characters, I started picking up stuff. Like I know like certain things about it now where I was like, oh, wait, it's because he didn't listen. I remember this one. And
I say that a lot on the podcast.
Which, hey, again, repetition. So finding a way to take it into bite-sized chunks was my big thing, because it is so expansive and it's so intense. So these little bits, you know, I love it or hate it. You know, you've got Joss Whedon doing Much Ado. You know, you had something that it was like, okay, these are actors that I'm already familiar with and kind of how they play. This is more accessible to me. So now I'm excited to watch other performances and compare and contrast them because I understand bits of it. So I think finding the media that talks to you about it. For me, it was never going to be a super academic podcast talking about Shakespeare because I just wouldn't listen. But excited people giving new takes on it and new views on it and spinning it and making it current to me and things I can understand makes it so much more fun and enjoyable.
Yeah. Huh?
Movies?
Yeah. So Tony's yelling about movies. Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet is one of the greatest things to happen to Shakespeare on cinema, whether you like it or not. Because what it did was it tried to connect to a younger, youthful audience, and it did silly things like long sword 9mm, which is like my favorite thing. And it enhanced the violence. So without bogging down too much time, my one of the pieces that I've written is about race, gender, and violence in Shakespeare and how it's been modernized on film, and the fact that like a sword fight might not resonate with you in the year 2023. Like there's something about a gas station exploding. Yeah, that's how the movie opens. That kind of like takes this violence to an understandable, like it is violent. And yes, in Elizabethan times, a sword fight in the street is violent. But as we're watching it now, we know it's choreographed. We know the stakes are low. But something exploding, that's high stakes. And that can make you instantly connected with the violence of the play more immediately.
It's kind of like how the Hamlet that David Tennant said is set in like 2010.
Exactly. You have those security cameras zooming in on David Tennant, and that really, again, reinforces the fact that he is being watched and he feels trapped and paranoid in his own environment. And because we see modern technology, we can understand that a little bit more clearly. So, yeah, I would love to hear, just kind of toss out, raise your hand if there's a Shakespeare film that speaks to you that you would suggest someone start with. Let me hear it. Yes. Yes. I love that. So that's Playing Shakespeare, Ian McKellen. And yeah, it's kind of what Swan and I do a little bit, is like takes a speech and it talks about like how that relates to Shakespeare in the bigger picture and himself and his journey as an actor. Yes, great suggestion.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, go see live theater.
This one is kind of like bad, but like fun in a camp way.
Yes.
There's a great movie called Private Romeo that's about Romeo and Juliet in a military school.
Yes. Private Romeo, excellent, because it introduces you to the story and the characters without being like a straightforward adaptation.
Didn't you do a whole series on holiday movies that related to Shakespeare?
Oh, I did do, holiday rom-coms that are based off Shakespeare plays. They're very good. They're very fun. Much Ado About Christmas or whatever is like wonderful. David Tennant, Catherine Tate, Much Ado, excellent. Very, very good. Also, yes, Patrick Stewart's Sonnet a Day, really, really good. Hearing someone like him read those words, yes. Elizabeth Taylor, and the Taming of the Shrew, yeah, it's good. But you can feel the tension between them. If you get a production where you have two actors who very clearly, I mean, same thing, like Kenneth Branagh as Much Ado with Emma, oh my God, Thompson. Like you can feel, I know. Also Keanu Reeves getting oiled up on a massage table. Can't beat that.
I do it for the Shakespeare.
Yeah, you get those actors that you love, and then them telling the story, you can feel it deeper. Yes, Denzel Washington also did a Macbeth. Next. Yeah, in the back. I don't know that.
Oh.
Oh, interesting. Okay, Roxanne and Steve Martin. Cool. It's not Shakespeare, but it's still relatively period. I love the suggestion, and I'm gonna watch it.
It's not quite Shakespeare, but Anne Juliet musical.
Yes, Anne Juliet. If you had a chance to, I haven't been able to see it, but I've heard it's amazing.
It was phenomenal.
Yeah. Perfect. All right, let's get 3 more. Listen, if you have a link to the full recording of that. Don't put it on the internet to tell me that you do, but come talk to me after this because I haven't been able to watch it full yet, and I am upset about that fact. Yes. 10 things,
Yeah.
10 things I hate about you. She's the Man. Modern teen adaptations of Shakespeare. Mike, is that what you were going to say? Yep. Okay. So yeah, hopefully that gives you a nice, good list. This is recorded. It's being streamed on Twitch. So if you need a reminder of all of those titles that just got dropped, you can rewatch it on the digital media Twitch channel. But yeah, absolutely get yourself into it and have some fun. What have you got for me? Do your worst.
Is there a reason why you sketch in red instead of another color?
Yes.
question.
Yes. Hey, and you're off the hook. So that is from my animation background. So I studied animation in college. That's what I got my degree in. So I love being able to do an underdrawing and structure in a sketching pencil. It erases just like a regular pencil, even though it colors like a colored pencil. So it lets me do all of my super loose, rough gesture studies. And then what is really nice when it comes to this more digital age is if I want, when I scan this page, I can go in and I can drop out an entire color channel. And so any of my sketch layer completely disappears and I'm left with only my line work on top of it. So easy. We like easy.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great question.
Yes,
Great
thank
question.
you.
Hello.
So why would Desdemona be the best maid of honor, but where would her faults be in that?
All right. Why would Desdemona be the best maid of honor? Oh, Desdemona is nothing if not loyal. She will love you through your faults. And I think that that is maybe her fault as a maid of honor, because sometimes when you're getting married, it's a high stress situation. There's a lot of planning involved. And there are things that can be easily overlooked, or you might lose your temper. You might need a vibe check when you're getting married. Like maybe, let's say you're planning a wedding and then COVID happens, then you have to replan your wedding, and then you have to replan your wedding, and then you have to replan your wedding for a third time. It's very specific. You might be just really grumpy about the fact that like you've had to plan your wedding 3 times, and you might need someone, could be your fiance, could be your maid of honor, to say, hey, this will be fun. Maybe let's have some fun with it. I feel like you're not having fun, and it's important to enjoy this very special day of your life. And Desdemona, I think, would maybe coddle the grumpiness too much. She's so loyal, she's so supportive, maybe to a fault of not giving the bride the reality check that she needs. It's not based in real life at all. Hello, save me.
Hello, hi. So have you read all of Shakespeare's canon, like
No.
the whole thing? Oh, well, is there?
I have read most of the plays. I still have not read any of the Henry Sixes because I can't do it. I have sat down to read them so many times. I know they're good, but I just can't do it. But I know all of the plays.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, I guess that kind of leads to my question, which is like they can't all be winners, right? Like which, like, are there
Honestly,
any?
yes, thank you.
Can they? Like,
No,
wait,
no.
which
I
story-
love the question because I felt the same way. I was like, I don't.
So which ones are for y'all are like this sucks. I just never want to see this again. I just don't want to watch this again. I don't need to read this again.
It's a really good question. I think it depends on what you're watching for, what you're doing. So something like Timon of Athens is a great read. It's a really good play, but it's a really good book. It's a really good whatever. It's text, but it's a horrible play. There are 2 female characters in that play, and neither of them is named, and they're both women of the night. It's not 10 o'clock yet. And so, like, it's a stupid play to perform. Nobody needs to see Timon. Nobody. Unless you're like doing the full canon, you don't need to see it. The show must go online, did all of the performances online in lockdown, and Ben Crystal did Timon of Athens, and he is a scholar in original pronunciation with his dad. He's written a lot of books. He's very cool. Seek out his stuff. They've got some great intro things if you're looking into Shakespeare. But he was a great Timon, and listening to someone with that voice do it, it's more like you're listening to it. The play is bad.
Yeah.
That would be for me. Swan, what have you hated?
Hated. Also, yeah, I didn't answer you technically. No, I've not read all of them. Very few of them. Hated. So I think just something that was tough on the outset of it was I love to draw awesome kick butt female characters. And sometimes there's not always a ton of them. So part of the fun in what we get to do is that reskinning of characters. It is playing with fluidity of characters. It is putting them in new situations because the energy, the emotion, the conflict is all the same. Who is saying it, who's experiencing it isn't the important part. So hated is really that part. The one I'm excited about that I've enjoyed so much that we've talked about is the two couples and they go into the woods and then they end up both getting married at the end. So As You Like It?
That's a lot.
Okay, sorry.
You just
well, I'm sorry. See,
this
this is how you know.
Two couples go into the
Cousins
woods.
who are girls,
Cousins-
Cecilia
As You
and
Like It.
okay,
As You Like It.
So that one, just from the little snippets that we've done and some of the fun ideas I've gotten from that, I was like, I want to learn this one. I want to read this one because that's exciting. Some of the other ones, I'm trying to think of the name. I will think of it. I'll get back on that. But there's another one where just in conversations when any of those characters have come up on Protest Too Much, I'm like, I don't care to know more. I don't care to know more about this one. No, they don't seem fun.
It's a good question. I did a series on my TikTok, 2 years ago at this point, where I went through every play to see if it passed the Bechdel-Wallace test. Some of them do. Wow. Some of them do. It's really exciting. I got so excited when they did. And just there was a streak where I was just like, not again, time. And I was just like, I'm not even doing this play. Macbeth, no woman has a name. And Hecate, I guess, technically. But then it's just lady, witch. So yeah, that's those ones are less fun to work with unless you're working with live theater. When I produce and direct, gender is pretty much irrelevant when we're casting because it is pretty much irrelevant in the plays. There's no reason not to explore gender. And purposefully, you can change pronouns, you can work with it with the actors that you have to really create this world that gives different dynamics to the relationships. We just did Cymbeline, which is my favorite play. And we had an actress playing Posthumus who is a big old ding dong through the play and has this speech where he thinks his wife has cheated on him. And he has this, could I find the woman's part in me, I'd tear it out. What sadness is women, jealousy is women, this is women. All these bad things are part of a woman. And so to watch this female presenting actress do that speech, it just brought this whole cool new level of depth to it. And I was like, I never need to see a man do that ever again. Hello.
Hi, I do a lot of scenic rendering and costume sketch work. I was wondering what your markers are literally magical. Can you tell me a little more about your black markers?
Absolutely. I would love to talk about markers with you. All right. So we've got these beautiful, let's see if you can see them. These are beautiful brush pens. They are Sakura. I got them on Amazon. I'm sorry because I didn't sell them at my local art shop. I love them. I was a Micron person all through college. They break and split and the tips are not great. So I don't use them anymore. I have moved to Prismacolor inking markers, which I really, really like for commissions. I like the Sakura brush pens. They come in 3 different sizes. So you get the really fine detail and they don't have a nib that gets rounded off at the end. So I don't lose the detail of that. These big chunky boys are Faber-Castell. They are the big brush pen that I'm using that I really, really like. So these are actually the felted ones, but because it's such a big tip, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Listen.
It doesn't matter. Faber-Castell. Yep, and those I got at a local art shop. And then what you're going to see me do here in just a second is I'm going to take a Posca paint marker in white, and I'm going to go in and add white on top of all of this for the rain.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I'm so excited. Okay. I heard that about Pokemon, too.
First of all, I just want to say this looks gorgeous. I love comic books, and so it's like I'm geeking out.
You look like Swan again.
Yeah. Second of all, can you tell me why Paris from Romeo and Juliet and Richard II from Richard II would fall in love if they met at Gay Pride?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. And I'm going to take more than a minute to do this because this is my favorite question ever. So the question is, why would Paris from Romeo and Juliet and Richard II fall in love? Oh my God, I love Paris. Justice for Paris. Paris gets treated so poorly. Listen, I know that ages are a little weird in Romeo and Juliet. But he goes to Capulet and he's like, hey, I need your approval. And Capulet is like, go talk to Juliet, see if she's into it. And then things get messed up with Capulet because he stinks. But Paris is just minding his own business. He's just trying to protect her grave. He gets killed for that. Spoilers. Also, Paul Rudd is beautiful, and that's the only Paris in my mind ever. So he's sensitive, he's sweet, he's thoughtful, he's kind. Richard II needs someone to support him like that. The sadness of Richard II is that he doesn't have anyone around him telling him that he's okay. He doesn't want to be king. He's making all of these decisions because he thinks it's what's right. We'll go to war because that's what I have to do or I'm supposed to do. I'll take all my dead uncle's money because that's what I'm supposed to do. Shut up. I'm talking. And he really grapples with this idea of who he is and what it means to be a king and what it means to be a human. And he has this beautiful the Graves, Worms, and Epitaph speech is one of my favorite in all of Shakespeare because he's so in touch with these very human emotions, and he's been thrust into this position of power that he never wanted in the first place. And also both of them are very queer-coded characters, and so I think that if they found each other and were able to, Paris is related to the prince, he's got money, Richard II clearly has claimed 2 titles, so I think together they would be so supportive and loving. I know you said something about gay pride at the end, I was screaming over it, but they would be there.
They met at Gay Pride.
Oh, they met at Gay Pride. Perfect. I love it. I love them. That's them. We're gonna draw that next month. Okay. Perfect. Come on up. I love that question so much.
I would love if you could cast in 1 minute however many Ted Lasso characters from Shakespeare that you can that you would like to cast. Don't rush it. You choose. It's up to you.
So I actually did an entire podcast episode about this. So there is, if you search the Protest Too Much feed, my friend Chris Casey came on to talk about, he presented who he thought would be each character. I presented who I thought would be each character. There are, God, and this isn't even me trying to send you to the episode. I don't remember. But they were good. They were really good. I think because I've done this thought exercise, my mind is blank and I don't remember any of them. Nope. I got nothing. I think we talked about Ted being Duke Senior from As You Like It because he's just like wholesome and welcoming and kind, and he has that very like collective, we're a family vibe. I think that was actually Chris's and not mine, but it was better than what mine was. We didn't actually talk about Coach Beard, so I guess I'll talk. That's a good one to go with. Coach Beard in Shakespeare is... Who's the weirdest little guy? Who is the weirdest little... I'm going to go with Poins from Henry IV Part 1. Hal's like BFF, hangs out with him in the tavern, totally willing to play pranks with him, kind of stirs the pot in a lot of the situations, but takes a little bit of a back seat to everything because he's not the one in the spotlight. He's so much quieter. He has way fewer lines than Henry, but like not way less of a personality. And I think so he would be like the Coach Beard. Who's Nate? Oh my gosh. Mike, help me. Can I phone a friend? Who's Nate in Ted Lasso of Shakespeare? Who's Nate in Shakespeare?
What's Nate like?
Oh, this is actually, so do you want to talk about that? Your take on Lysander? Because it's really interesting. This is my husband. Everyone give him a round of applause. He's very handsome.
Hey, so I got into Shakespeare because I married Steph, and the thing about marrying a human Shakespeare computer is that you hear a lot about Shakespeare all the time, and it's really fun. And I was one of those people who was like, why would I bother? There's modern media. It turns out it's all based on old stuff, right? And so for me, Lysander, I think, is a bad guy. I think Lysander is hurt inside in a really serious way. And nothing in the text says that when Puck drops the little juice in his eyes, that it's going to change his personality. It's only going to change who he loves, right? And so all of a sudden, he's a huge ding-dong to his betrothed who, like, I also pick Lysander as like the most likely to be a Scorpio, and I feel like Nate has a lot of like spurned Scorpio traits, right? As someone who grew up a spurned Scorpio and is recovered, and so yeah. Those are kind of where Nate sits, is a Lysander relation.
You want to say it? Okay. So we got a question from Twitch. Emily Swan.
Oh.
What are the best colored pencils for a beginner? Thank you, Songheart.
Oh, beginner. So honestly, anything. Genuinely, and it's the bar of entry into art can feel very intimidating because art supplies are so expensive, which is stupid. So it's more about the practice. What I would say, colored pencil wise, I am picky because for what I do, Prismacolors are the best. They really they do all of the art things that I want them to do. But if you're coloring and you're practicing coloring, rose art, crazy art, whatever they are, Crayola now, like it's more in the working through it that I think is important. And if you can only afford certain, like a couple of colors, like I tried all of the different white colored pencils, trying to find the one that would work the best on the toned sandpaper that I liked. And none of them could do the same as the Prismacolor. So I save up and I budget for that specific one. But it is the practice of it. The same thing with markers. I've watched people color beautiful things with cheap Crayola washable markers. So the practice of it and that control, that is so much more important, so that then when you do invest in one, you already have the dexterity, you already have the brain behind that. So then you get to have fun with the art supplies. And I'll say to that, like, ask for them for Christmas, ask for them for your birthday, whatever holiday. Like, at least growing up for me, family loved to give me art supplies. So if they're going to do it, make a specific request for them. But once you get the nice art supplies, like, it's okay not to be precious with them. It's okay to use them. It's okay to spend a little bit more money and actually use those markers and use that and enjoy the art making process with them.
Yeah, awesome. Great
question.
Yeah, great question. Okay, what do you got for me?
I just had a quick question. The speech you mentioned earlier about the part of you that's woman wanting to tear it out. What play was that from? Because that just like struck something with me, but I didn't catch the name.
Yeah, it's from Cymbeline, which I'm not surprised if you haven't read it, because it's
a
chaos
boy's name.
in a place. And it's also a boy's name, not the main character. Confusingly. Cymbeline is every Shakespeare plot that he ever wrote in one play. It's his best of tour. It was written really late, and I think that's why I love it so much, because it's so chaotic. It's every single plot. But yeah, it's a good one. I really, really love it. It's like a little fairy tale. Another question in Twitch: have you tried Prismacolor Scholar line?
I haven't.
All right. Well,
I got
put
it
on the list.
Yeah. I will be now.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Yeah, we got time for one or two more questions. Was that an art? Okay. Okay, so yeah, Lion King as an adaptation of Hamlet. Very good. Great point.
So this question is for Swan. How do you get over the anxiety of like not ruining the nice materials? Because that's something I've struggled with. Of like, oh, I don't want to waste them. I don't want to like ruin them.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get over that?
So for me, some of it is if I can remove emotion from it, that helps me a ton. So I bought, we'll say something like this. I bought a Bristol board pack. If I sell one piece of art out of this, I paid for the whole pack. So then what does it matter to the rest of them? So what I will also do for the actual technical side of it is I will use one of the sheets underneath another commission that I'm doing. And when I inevitably draw off the page and get a mark on it, well, that page is ruined now. I can't sell it. I can't do anything with it. So now I can have whatever fun with it I want. So there is that level of destruction that you can take to it that then frees your mind up to, now I can do whatever I want. I can play with this however I like. I think I like sometimes working outside of my comfort zone in some of that stuff. So I've seen people, you'll do the big like squiggle all over the page and work into it with different colors and stuff like that. And as soon as you can kind of see the paper as just a tool for that, it helps a ton. And that's why I said the money thing helps for me. If I know that I can justify this entire pad of drawing supply just with one piece that I do, then it doesn't matter which page that one piece comes from. So it might not be the first page, it might be the second page, but one of these pieces that I'm going to do is going to be worth it for that whole rest of that pad. And that's okay. It's okay if I don't sell any of the other pages and I just learn from all of the other pages. Thank you. That was a great question.
Hello.
Hi. On the same topic of the art, when working so quickly with such dark material, how do you work with your mistakes if you do make mistakes consistently?
That's a great question. So how do you work with your mistakes, especially with dark?
I make mistakes all of the time. So some of it is the importance of this piece is y'all getting to watch me make it, is getting to have a finished piece or at the end where I can bring this to life. There's also, for something very easy, I can fix this in post. I can go in, I can correct it, I could redraw it if I wanted. So the end goal for it is just for everyone to have a fun time while I'm making the art. It took me a very long time to get comfortable going in with black marker this heavy. I was very timid. I would start with very thin outlines and then I would just gently work it like just a little bit. And then I dip my toe in a little bit more. But honestly, much to the point I was talking about with ruining it, sometimes I'm just like, I'm just going to go in and I'm going to make a very hard line and then I'm going to have to deal with the consequences of it. Because then I just have to figure it out. I have to work through that problem solving of it. It helped me too sometimes where I wouldn't use a full 100% black on it. I would use one that was maybe 60 and I would start building up to it and I'm like, okay, I like that. And then practice going in and just laying down the very, very hard, harsh lines in it because I was like, okay, I've already used my training wheels to get me up to that point. And now my hand and my brain knows where things are going so I can go in and do it. And I'm lucky enough that other than a few very specific times when I'm working on commissions, I can always redraw it. If I really mess it up, I can draw it again, which I've done.
All right, we'll take this last question. What do you got?
This is kind of silly.
So this whole show.
Yeah.
So is Shakespeare.
Also for Swan, the thought of it being kind of like an outdoor concert, outdoor show, and the specific panel with him holding the microphone up. Did you mean to make him look kind of like Freddie Mercury?
I absolutely did.
Okay.
I absolutely did. It said king, and I thought one king and one king only.
Yeah, so that's a perfect transition. Thank you, into showing off this art and showing off this piece. And Swan talking a little bit about the composition of the page, and if we want to like hold it up to the camera in a way or to the crowd, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Yeah. So just real quick, because these are such a special circumstance where I am working quickly with haste. I'm also dropping y'all into the scene ready to go. So this isn't going to be a multi-page comic. This is going to be, I need to communicate all of this information as fast as I can to you and still get to have fun with some of the poses. So for me, tons of these pages that I do start with an opening shot. Start with an establishing shot. I need to get you into the location that I want you to be in. I need you to have an idea of the setting. And then as soon as I can move away from that and move on to the emotion of the characters and the actual nitty-gritty of it, I want to. So for this one, because so much of it is about his emotions and his feelings, he needs to be the focal point. I want him to be the focal point. And because there is kind of this screaming at the sky type thing, like I want to end this page, since you read, left, right, top to bottom, and we're kind of an S through it. I want this final page where we end to be that big statement moment.
There's so much defiance in it that it's just such a beautiful representation of like the character in general. Yeah, and we'll stay up here for a couple minutes. You can come take a closer look at it. I guess with that, we're gonna wrap things up here.
One more. Switch
yes.
question.
To the Twitch camera.
Oh, that camera.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. If we can. So while Swan is doing that, I will ask you all, if you enjoyed yourself here today, to please rate this panel in the app. We would love to be able to we would love to be able to do it again next year. It's been really fun and really exciting to be here with you. So if you would rate us 5 stars in the app, you will get a sense of accomplishment and joy that you helped us.
Retroactive A+ in Shakespeare class.
Yeah. So if you want to follow me and everything I do, which includes Protest Too Much, I've got some stickers up here for P2M and also for my Shakespeare company, and also some Shakespeare raccoon stickers that Swan drew. You can follow me on the QR code on the little postcard here. We've got a follow Steph and follow Swan QR code so that you can easily access us. Swan goes to her, is it your link tree?
Yep.
And so you can buy her art. It'll bring you to her Etsy page. It'll bring you to everywhere that you can find and follow her, as well as her YouTube channel and Twitch, where we do stream Sketching Shakespeare, usually on the 3rd Sunday of the month. Not regularly, but like if you follow us on socials, we'll keep you posted on when those streams will be.
Yep.
So,
all of the previous episodes, which are 22, I didn't realize.
Holy
I know, right? Are all on my YouTube channel. There's a whole specific playlist for it. And the goal, and I'm putting it out to all of you to hold me accountable, is the goal is to collect all of these into an actual printed comic to have in the future. So maybe next year at DragonCon.
Yeah. Please remember to donate to the DragonCon charity. Please remember to be grateful to our sponsors.
And be great to each other.
Be excellent to each other. Also, if you could be excellent to the room, if you see trash, maybe throw it out. We'll do a sweep, but if it's easily accessible for you,
There's a trash can in the back.
Please come up and get stickers. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.